Welcome to the Intrinsic First Leadership Podcast. I'm Aaron Robbins with Intrinsic First. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date on our latest episodes. Ready to dive into the world of leadership? Let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to the Intrinsic First Leadership Podcast. We have a special guest with us today, Mr. Namit Jindal, and he is the founder and leader for Deliverability Ninja, doing cold outsourcing, I think, of emails and marketing type of work. So we're looking forward to hear more about that and talk about some of your leadership experiences running your company. So, without further ado, Namit, if you don't mind, can you do kind of a little introduction of yourself, and then we'll go from there?
For sure, yeah. I'm super excited to be here. I'm Namit Jindal, founder of Deliverability Ninja. We help companies generate leads via cold email. So we've been doing it for a while now. Any B2B company, the biggest problem that they face is lead generation. So we help create that cold email funnel. Last year, we had booked like about 1,800 meetings across all our clients.
Wow.
So,
That's quite a bit.
yeah.
So how long have you been, tell us about, why you decided to start the company, how you got into this, and, what you've been doing.
So entrepreneurship's always been something I've been super into. And like journey started, I feel like every entrepreneur starts this way now, but like I was a drop shipper at one point. I was selling on Amazon. And then eventually moved into B2B with my first company, where I learned the value of like actual revenue generation and how important leads are. These guys were really good at cold emailing, so I cut my teeth over there. And that just translated into helping people generate leads. Realized I'm actually really good at it with my kind of engineering background and a business background. So kept going deeper and deeper into it. Loved the idea of generating leads, and here I am.
So why the decision to jump out on your own, I guess? What was it about that appealed to you?
That was always the plan. I mean,
okay, gotcha.
more autonomy, more responsibility, more money.
Okay.
I don't see anything that's a negative about doing it on my own.
How long was it before you picked up your first employee, if you don't mind me asking?
So the moment I earned my first big revenue check, I hired my first employee.
Yeah, so how long was it before you did that? Like when you decided to start your
Like
company?
15 days.
Super quick, right? Okay, very
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, super quick. Like super, super quick. Because like my first hire was like a virtual assistant abroad.
Okay,
And I was doing everything manually.
right.
And this was when I just read like the 4-hour work week, and I was understanding the concept of like the value of time. So as soon as I got my first check, first client, I think it was like $7,500 or something. I hired a virtual assistant abroad, and I delegated all my manual tasks. Essentially freed up 20 hours a week for myself.
Right on. So can you give me some more? That's an interesting concept of the virtual assistant. We get hit up for that all the time. We haven't really done that yet. Could you kind of share a little bit about how they do what they do, I guess, to free up that time for you?
So it's about, obviously, virtual assistants are people of different calibers. But internationally, an average person gets paid 1/3 to 1/10 of a US employee.
Okay.
So when you look at entry-level employees, they get paid 1/10. Senior level employees get paid 1/3. There's always like strategic thinking difference as well, but in general. So if you were to write down your entire day, there's this really cool concept of a 72-hour audit where you write down everything you would do in the next 72 hours. Down to the minute. You will understand a lot of those tasks are repeatable manual tasks. Something could be as simple as, for you guys, scheduling podcast invites. So if it's repeatable and if it takes time, you can hire someone abroad who will charge like maybe like $700 a month or $800 a month and delegate those tasks to them. So someone living in Philippines in a small city, $800 a month is a lot of money for them. So they're living a really good life for that. Working from home, and you on the other hand, if you're even able to delegate like 20 hours a week out to someone else, you can focus on higher strategic tasks.
Yeah, I always describe that as the difference between working in the business and working on the business, I guess. So when you free that time up, you can start working on the business and start thinking more strategically, right? And then so yeah, if you don't mind, continue your journey. I mean, you got this first check, $7,500. You got your first employee, and then what? Where do you go from there?
I think we just boosted up after that. Like we went pretty hard. The good part about running a cold email agency is you're really good at cold email.
That's right.
So I've never had like a leads problem myself, and if I did, that would be a really big problem in itself.
Yeah, I was going to mention that because you said 15 days from starting your company, getting your first employee. Yeah. I imagine you're.
So you're pretty good at getting leads for yourself as well as helping others.
Yeah.
Ideally, like if I was bad at getting leads for myself, that would be
Yeah.
a huge problem. I should probably not be a cold email agency.
What is the percentage? Like when
Yeah.
you send out emails, what percentage of the recipients actually open those emails and actually turns that into a lead? Is it pretty low? Or
Yeah,
is it?
so well, it's pretty high actually. So open is pretty high. I would imagine. So what we see, and these numbers are inflated because of Google and Apple hate showing you actual numbers.
Yeah.
But you see like open rates go as high as 70 to 75%.
That high? That's just open,
That
right?
high.
That's open, right?
Yeah, that's open. But you can expect a positive reply from every 150 to 400 emails you send, depending on what you're selling. So out of every, like for our offer, it's more a 300. For your offer, which is like a consulting offer, which is like less differentiated in the sense like, because like more generic to sell, because like consulting is a little generic, like leadership consulting is a little broad.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that would be like 1 in 600, 700 contacts, you would get one positive reply.
Yeah. So I've always been curious about what is considered a read, because, when I use Outlook and I click on an email, it automatically shows me the preview and the read pane. Is that considered read? And does it know even if you're not providing a read receipt? How does it do that? What's the technology behind it?
Yeah, so there are multiple ways to do it. Apple has said we will not provide accurate read receipts for anyone. And if you get an email in your inbox, Apple automatically marks it as read.
Okay.
Got it.
But sometimes, like most times, like Gmail and Outlook, unless you open the email,
Right.
you don't actually see that read receipt. And
I
the
see.
technology behind it is what we do is there's this thing called a pixel. So it's like that 8-byte pixel, which is like our 1-byte pixel. And anytime you open the email, that pixel loads. So whenever that pixel loads, it sends information on the internet saying that, hey, like this email has been opened, and the software captures it and shows it to me, who is the sender.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is not like MailChimp or Constant Contact, right? You guys are using using your own software to do this, or?
No, we use an external software. We use a software called SmartLead.
Okay.
So MailChimp will be used anytime there's a marketing email.
Okay.
So if someone signs up for your newsletter or someone signs up to you, buys your product, that's why I use MailChimp. We do cold email and stuff like people you've never had a contact with in the past.
And then, so do you purchase like email lists to be able to provide to? If we were to come to you as a client, do you have those lists of emails that you would solicit to or send emails to, or do we provide that, or do we purchase that? How does that work?
No, so we scrape it for you from the internet. So there's ways to purchase them. You can scrape them.
Okay.
But the moment you create a LinkedIn account, your email is public.
Sure. Okay. So you guys gathered the data. Can we go back to a little bit? This is really fascinating. So we're going to kind of ping pong back and forth because my mind works that way sometimes. But I know you spoke earlier that you got your first employee, and then I think you're up to 5 employees at this point. I'm really curious to know from your perspective, because you have a technical background, an entrepreneurial background, and I have an MBA from USC, and my focus was entrepreneurship. And there's always this nice little leap of, my business, my ideas working when you start to execute upon it and you start hiring employees. And I always find that fascinating in any business. I'm kind of curious to know, like, what challenges did you get or come across with hiring employees, and then that you didn't expect to be an issue, and you're like, oh man, this sucks, or this is difficult. Is there anything like that stands out when you're just employee related, I guess?
So I've always liked the idea of hiring and managing.
Yeah.
Like, even when I've had my own job, when I was trying to sell on Amazon stuff, I had one person ordering groceries for me at like $4 an hour, and I had one person literally talking to my nutritionist, talking to my doctors, scheduling all that everyday tasks, scheduling my laundry, and I had one person doing my laundry. So I was like very experienced in managing multiple people.
Okay.
And I don't know how that came about, but I just really enjoyed that. So hiring for non-technical roles is a piece of cake.
Okay.
Hiring for engineers, on the other hand, is really, really tough. Because
What?
so our services agency is moving into software where we're using it's like a tech-enabled agency.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're doing. So it's really, really hard to hire an engineer when you barely know anything about engineering.
Yeah, that's fair. And reading their resume doesn't always help. All right, you might get them. They might look really good on on a piece of paper, but when they actually have to do the job, that's a different story sometimes.
Yeah. So
Do you agree with that?
to hire our CTO, I had like a consultant, and they were able to he was really able to find the right person. He was asking questions, and it was really tough. But he did it pretty easily.
Okay. Yes, and those subject matter experts are pretty important, I guess, when it comes.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your team? How did you decide how to structure it? Who did you hire in terms of skill sets? And are they remote? Are they local? Are they international?
So everyone's remote, and everyone is in different parts of the world right now. So yeah, so let's talk about the full-time employees first. So I have my virtual assistant. She was the first person I hired. Then I have a sales rep, because we were booking way too many meetings at one point, so I needed him to help me. Then we have an engineer who's a CTO and a co-founder in a software companies, and we have another software engineer. So that's 5 people in total, 5 full time.
Yeah.
Part time we have editors and designers and people creating lead magnets, people scraping leads, who are mostly contract basis.
Yeah. So, and I imagine you've got some people that are working in terms of supporting the clients that you sell, helping them do their, cold emails. And then you have people also working within to do the sales and marketing for yourself to try to find new clientele. How are you balancing all of that?
So I had a kind of an operations experience in my first company,
Yeah.
where one of the co-founders really taught me how to build automations. So when it comes to servicing clients, doing our own sales and marketing, especially with cold email, we've automated 75% of the process.
Got it.
The remaining 25% is strategic thinking, and that's what I do. I really enjoy that. I think I'm gonna outsource that last, or delegate that last, I guess. Not outsource, but
What's going to be left for you to do if you do that? I mean,
just
Go
more
do
of what
something
I'm doing
else.
right now.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
always something to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
I I just really enjoy this conversation because I've never really had a conversation with someone. You outsource quite a bit, which I think is fun. I mean, you read Tim Ferriss's book, and that's kind of what, the 4-hour work week, and it kind of gets into that. So I think it's really fascinating to kind of get your insights on just outsourcing and making those decisions on what to do, when to do it, I guess.
Yeah, it's this broken concept. I don't really know where I read it from. Maybe it was Alex Hormozy, Tim Ferriss. It's like my value of time in my own mind is extremely high. Like something really crazy, like $1,000 an hour. So everything that I do has to be either working towards that $1,000 an hour, or it needs to be outsourced.
Right.
So that's the way I think about things. And I think that's flawed because you end up increasing your expenses a lot and you start eating out and you start gaining weight. So you need to be careful.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's a story from Aaron and I used to work at this company, and I think of mowing the lawn, I guess, where the CEO would actually go cut the grass. I guess this is Lee, one of those CSA stories where Lee would go cut the grass or something. I don't know if it's true or not, but it came out folklore maybe. And then the idea was like, he was saving money because he was going to cut the grass. But then the thought is, to your point, like, well, how much do you get billed an hour? And that's really what it's costing you to go cut the grass.
Oh, I see. So Lee was a very hands-on guy. Mm-hmm. So when, the office in Mechanicsburg, if they had plumbing issues or if they needed the snow plowed or the grass cut in the yard of the office, he would do all that.
Right.
And so I think he did it because he enjoyed it. That's the stuff that he liked to do.
Yeah, of course.
Right. But if you think of it from a money perspective and how much he made per hour as the CEO of a 400 person, $50 million a year company, mowing the grass, he could do it for a lot cheaper by outsourcing that.
Yeah, exactly. Now that story always sticks with me. So this is really cool.
Well, I guess so. Just one more thing, just to kind of understand the business is, can you kind of describe, like, what would you tell a client so that our viewers are listening to this podcast kind of understand? I think probably a lot of them are like us, where they haven't necessarily gotten into the cold email side of things, and I think there's also this negative perception from people where because I get the number of cold emails that I get into my inbox is can be frustrating some days, where it's like, God, I just get that out. I don't want to hear from all these different people. But I've also learned, and I know that there's skill in how you write the email to make sure it gets through the filters and actually makes it to the inbox. And then there's ways you got to write it so it catches somebody's attention. And then there's the technology behind it in terms of how you're doing this. How do you appropriate the email addresses that you're using, and just actually get the content from one place to another. So I'm just curious if you could kind of describe what you would tell your typical client who's interested in this kind of work. How does it work and what should they expect, and some of that information.
For sure. I think there are two parts to this question, right? Like, one is the negative aspect,
mm-hmm.
and the second is how it actually works.
Yep.
So let's start with the negative aspect, and then we'll talk on how it works.
Sure.
When someone does not want to do cold email or says like, hey, it's going to be bad for our brand, I don't want to spam people, I don't want to do this, they're falling, they're becoming a trap of the spotlight effect. So Aaron, you just said you receive a lot of cold emails.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the last 10
question.
brands that cold emailed you.
That's a great question.
Oh yeah, I don't even know what the companies would be, or the.
That's fantastic.
So people who are gonna be bothered by your email, not remember your email, not reply to your email, will not remember your brand.
Right,
unless you do something so extreme that you stand out.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if I email 200 people, 199 will not remember you. One person will reply and actually become a client.
Right.
So the only reason to not do cold email is if you hate money.
I don't know if anybody hates money.
I mean, I saw that one coming, and I'm glad you asked the question, because I thought of it, and I thought of your answer, so I didn't ask it. And then you thought of it, and you asked. That's a great point.
No, yeah, that's interesting.
Because I was just thinking that while you were talking, I was like, what is? Because we get quite a few every day.
15 to 20.
at least. And then I don't remember the name of the company. I really don't. I can't remember one company.
Yeah, that's true.
So
if I actually did run across a company that happened to spam me with a bunch of emails, I probably wouldn't put two and two together.
now imagine if I got the same company hit me up, 4 or 5 times a day for 6 months, I'd remember them, and then that would take an effect. But that's not what we're doing here.
But that's not even beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
If
Right.
someone doesn't buy from you or doesn't want to respond to you in 3 emails, they likely will not respond to 10.
Right.
Yep.
Or they will likely will not respond positively to 10.
Right.
So why would you ever want to send more than 3 emails to someone in the span of 6 to 9 months?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that.
Because they don't need your product. Like, it's purely like, hey, can you help this person? Will your solution solve their problem? Yes or no? It's a very non-emotional, transactional sale here.
Yeah. Can we cut? So let's talk about the process. So now we're a client.
Yeah.
We walk into your office or hit you up on Zoom or whatnot. What's that process look like for you to figure out how to best serve us?
For sure. So the first thing that we will do is we will scrap everything, and I'm going to ask you, hey, like, what's your offer?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to create a no-brainer offer for your company. So something so good that people feel stupid saying no to,
Okay.
right?
So it's shaping
for
the
example,
message.
Like, my offer is like, we have 2 offers. For the people who already send cold emails, my offer is I will double your open rates and reply rates within 90 days or you don't pay.
Mm-hmm.
If you're already sending cold emails, that according to me is like, why would you not want that? Right? Or like, if people who don't send cold emails, our offer is like, we will get you 8 to 10 meetings a month, but you don't pay. So that's kind of like offers. Like, how can you make it no brainer? How can you add a risk reversal and all that stuff? So that's the first thing. Second, what we do is we find people who actually need your services or product.
So you define
that
the
could be
demographic or
like,
target audience, and then you guys target them, right? Is that right?
exactly. So it could be like your demographic, target audience. It could be triggers. So let's say you have a service or a product that works really well for people who just started a new job, or CEOs who just started a new job, or something like that, right? I'm just guessing based
sure.
off of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's reach out to CEOs who just changed a new chair in the past 90 days. Like, whoever your actual ideal audience is.
And
We can help you find anyone from the internet.
Is LinkedIn where you guys do the searches for? Is that where you guys use to scrape emails off of? Is that the playground there, or do you have other sources?
Yeah. So LinkedIn is the base for every other source as well. We use a lot of other sources, but LinkedIn is always the base for everything. So other sources are scraping LinkedIn as well.
Is that what your engineers are doing? Is they're writing the algorithms to scrape that information from LinkedIn, where they're saying, all right, I need you to find all the CEOs that have changed jobs in the last 6 months and, pull a list of as many emails as you can?
Now, so the engineers on my team are for a tech product we're building.
Okay.
For the scraping part, everything's already written. I have a part-time dev, but there are people, this is like an entire industry. There are people who've written this code before me.
Yep.
And it's just a science that has already been solved for.
So you're just basically buying that service from another company that does it?
Yes and no. Like, some of the code is already written for us by
I
part-time
see.
devs.
Okay.
Some code is open sourced, and some code, yes, we're just buying it off of other people who are doing it.
Yeah. So the next stage is you got the target audience defined. You've scraped, got a whole batch of emails, and then is it your company that sends those out on behalf of your client? Is that how that works, or?
Now, we buy additional domains for you. So the goal is like, don't send emails from your main domain ever, because your main domain will get blocked if too many people mark you as spam.
Right.
Okay.
Because that's also a thing, right? That's where the deliverability aspect comes in. And you need to make sure that emails are landing in the inbox. Like, if you guys receive 15 to 20 emails in your inbox, try going to your spam folder once.
Oh yeah, no, that's true,
You're gonna
and
have
that's
like
what I was
50
saying
to
is,
100.
yep,
Okay.
yeah, 15 to 20 make it to my inbox. I've got another probably 30 or so a day that get filtered over to junk.
Exactly.
So
So like the
it's pretty
skill
crazy.
is to like make sure you land into the inbox,
Yeah,
because otherwise everything we did is a waste.
So then the
Right.
potential customer gets the inbox, they get the email in the inbox, and if they like it, they click on a link that takes them to another landing page for the sale or for more information.
No. So this is like very one-to-one.
Okay.
So what we're doing is like sending them a message that makes them reply.
Okay. So they're replying back. There's no links in there for them to click on. And then when they reply back, it goes to another automated process. I mean, when does that lead generation actually get to like
client.
the client itself? Yeah.
So it's mostly back and forth saying either I'm saying like, hey, I can do this for you. I notice you have this problem. Do you want to meet over a 20-minute call?
Okay.
And then if they say yes, sure, let's meet, which is basically what was the conversation between Aaron and I, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is what you guys have. I can offer you this. Do you want to meet over a 20-minute call?
Got it.
And then we exchange. I just send a few times that would work for both, work for us, work for them, and we schedule your meeting on the calendar.
Yeah, got it. Or Calendly or something like that. I imagine you could use.
So as
Exactly.
a client, I don't really have to do too much. I'll just start seeing my calendar populate because you guys are doing all the work with the emails and figuring out who to send it to. And then so as a client, I go to my calendar and I start seeing all these meetings that are being set up.
Yep.
Exactly. And when we scrape the leads, we actually show you the list.
Okay.
So we show you these are the 1,000 CEOs, 1,000 sales leaders, marketing leaders from these companies, this employee range we are sending emails out to. Would you like to speak to them?
Oh, so I get a chance to
And
actually. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, so you're getting only vetted people who are interested in your services are open to hearing it.
Very cool. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I think our viewers will really enjoy hearing that.
Yeah. So, the other thing about lead gen, though, that I'm learning as I'm getting into sales, because I'm an engineer actually by trade. I fell into HR about 10 years ago, but never really did the sales stuff until now. I'm getting deep into it and got a leadership coach or a sales coach helping me. What I've learned is the importance of understanding your offerings and differentiation before you get to the lead gen piece. And then from the lead gen, it doesn't do you any good if you don't know how to convert it and actually close. So I'm just curious, how often do you have issues where, you're getting these great leads for people, but they haven't done the upfront work to know and understand their brand and conversion to where they're not actually closing anything, and that potentially could impact the perspective of the value of your leads.
Oh, so much. That's such a big problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Interesting.
I don't take on companies who have never done outbound selling anymore.
Yeah.
Because when I started out, I just took every single client possible.
Right.
And I used to get these 25-year-old companies who, they're great companies, but they've built their entire business off of referrals. So they've never actually done outbound selling. So a referral is like a sale where people are like really trust you. You don't really have to sell to them.
Yep.
There's someone they trust who's vouching for you and stuff like that.
Yep.
But when we give you a lead, they're a very cold lead. You've only had like 3 or 4 email transactions before you. They don't know you. They don't like you. They don't trust you.
Right.
So you have to create that rapport and actually sell to them. So this used to be a huge problem for us. So we went really hard. We make sure we tell people like, you need to understand the basics of Sandler training. You need to understand rapport building, discovery, and all that stuff. Because otherwise, it will be really hard for you guys to close.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's what I figured.
we've learned in that. So that's really cool that you
Right.
kind of just validated everything your coach has been telling you. your sales coach.
Yeah. I mean, we put thousands of dollars into going to some of these conferences, came back with what we thought were great leads, and then they never even replied to our emails. Custom, very specific. Hey, I met you, your name at this conference. This is what we talked about. Love to keep the conversation going, just like we mentioned, and then ghosted, nothing.
Yeah.
And then you wonder, well, did it go into the junk? I doubt it. I hit them on LinkedIn too, and they never replied. Anyway, so. Yeah, the whole sales process.
Like in a conference, people are super chatty.
Exactly.
And they're like, okay, I'll meet everyone possible.
Mm-hmm.
And when they come back, they realize like it's really hard to stay in touch with everyone we've met.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that we learned by that experience was book the appointment right there, the follow-on appointment, book it right there.
Yeah.
And that usually helps keep the conversation going, as opposed to like, okay, I got your email. Yeah, I got your email. I'll reach out again when I get home. That doesn't work. So
yeah. But yeah, and I agree with you. I think that's what it is. Is when people go to a conference, they're all jazzed up, they're excited.
Yeah.
They're seeing all these new things, and they're talking to people and getting all these great ideas. And the whole idea of a conference, when you're going to breakout sessions, is to learn and be creative, and to talk about new things. And then you get back to your desk the next week or the next day or whatever, and you're right back in the same grind, not to mention you're behind on your emails and your work because you just missed a day or multiple days. And so the chance of following up and having time and the energy at that point to try to do, new things from 50 different people you talk to, chances are they're just going to ghost you.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we have pictures of like we're at conferences and in our booth is just full of people, we've given out hundreds of flyers. Great conversations, and then nothing. That was pretty, remarkable, pretty eye-opening for us. So that's when we're like, okay, I think we need to get some help on how to do sales.
Right. Well, and not to mention, we hadn't also done some of the upfront work to really understand our offering, our differentiation, and so we were getting leads, I think, prematurely. But anyways, we're getting there. But I think I have a feeling a lot of people are like that, because even I'm in this mastermind program. It's a group coaching program, and a lot of other business owners having the same kind of issues, is needing to learn that you're good at the work that you do. That's why you're trying to offer a service or a product. Doesn't mean that you know how to sell it.
I think I should join your mastermind.
Yeah,
that's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, I'll give you the info after,
because you're like the face behind those cold emails, right? Like, because that is something that's been, I don't say flooding, but it's been filling up our inboxes. And I know a lot of people get the same. But I think what you're doing right now is really kind of here's the process. Here's how it works. This is why it's successful. And I think that having a voice.
So there's like a good way and a bad way to do it always, right? Like anyone you reach out to, your assumption should be 90 to 95% of those people actually need your services.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it. Like, don't email anyone and everyone,
right?
Because that's like the number one way to land up in spam. Because people mark you as spam and then you land in the junk folder.
Right.
It's also like, it's not beneficial. Like, the better your emails are, the more meetings you will get.
Yep.
And like there's like less of it, you're wasting less time, and the AI component of it is so strong that it's relatively easy to send good emails.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that.
So one other question, then let's shift topics back over to the leadership piece. Yep. So I'm just curious about trends. So I've cold emailing is gotten bigger and bigger, and we're getting more and more emails today than we were, a couple years ago. Do you see any trends where it's becoming more or less effective, or is it more about how you do it?
I think it's always like it's becoming harder in general. You definitely need to send better emails.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, including some of our clients, are performing like worse than they would have been 2 years ago or 1.5 years ago, just because the game has gotten harder now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with AI coming in the picture, more personalized, better emails, people have more solutions. Everyone's cold emailing now. My prediction is that Google and Outlook are just going to make it so hard to send cold emails 6 months from now that you're gonna see back for like a few people. It's gonna become really easy. For the other people, they're gonna suffer. Like, I love it. Like from a
Keeps you.
financial standpoint, I love it because it's gonna become harder and harder for someone
Yeah.
who's not always in the industry to send cold emails. From like a general ethical moral standpoint, I feel bad because it's going to become harder for entrepreneurs to generate revenue for their company.
Yeah. So it sounds like you see the market is actually going to shrink in terms of how much is going out or the ability to be effective, but that actually helps you because you're good at it and you know it, and so people might be more inclined to actually come to you for help because they are going to need an expert. They can't do it themselves.
That's what happened, right? Like, so 8 months ago, Google Outlook, Google Yahoo announced that they're just shutting off cold emails. And the demand for my business skyrocketed 20x
Wow.
overnight.
Wow.
Like, I used to get like one reply for every 350 emails.
Mm-hmm.
I started getting one reply for 45 emails.
Wow.
Wow.
It's a big change.
So like, that's a huge change. So like I woke up like the next morning just flooded with positive replies. My calendar full. That's when I had to hire the salesperson because I was like, I can't deal with this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing, man, I learned. It's just, and I've only done it at a very small scale, but you start getting those leads like that and you got to spend 20, 30 minutes with each one. I mean, there's only so much time in the day. So yeah, and then
outsource your sales team.
Yeah, I mean, but that ends up being if you're really getting a lot of leads in, you got to make sure that they're good ones because otherwise you're spending a lot of time talking to a lot of people that's not going to give you a real return on investment.
Everyone wants a full calendar until they have a full calendar.
That's right.
Like people don't understand how hectic it is.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's nuts. All right, so let's shift.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I wanted to shift back over to. We have a few more minutes here, but I want to talk about your team and how do you describe your culture for your company?
So the way I do it is like this is with everyone. About 65% of, and I'll go into culture after this, but the way we hired people, 65% of someone's salary is fixed. The remaining 35% is variable.
Mm-hmm. Like commission or just
it's not commission, it's just like performance.
Gotcha. Okay.
So everyone has a certain goal tied as to like why they're there in the company. They know the goal really well. And the way I hire people is like, I only want to see your best. If we agree on 1,000, I'll pay you 1,300. So like, I'll overpay you for better talent, but like, you can expect to work hard, take a break whenever you need it. There's like no boundaries. You're independent people, work whatever time you want to. You're not really reporting to anyone but yourself.
So I got to hone in on
That's
that
how I
real
would
quick.
describe the culture.
I'm curious. So when you said you'll overpay people, do they know there's the potential of being overpaid, or is that more of a surprise, like hey, you've done really well, I'm going to overpay you?
Or is it more transactional?
No, it's in the interview itself. It's like, hey, what salary are you expecting? And mostly people will either give like a small range or they'll just throw a number.
Mm-hmm.
And 90% of the time, just budget allows. Like at least with all the 5 people, budget allowed.
Right.
So I was like, cool, I'll just pay you guys 20% more.
So like, let's use that number you said before. Where like, okay, so we agree. I'm looking for a salary of 1,000 to make the numbers easy for us. And then in that interview, you'll say, I can pay you 1,300, or do you?
So yes, I'll just be like, okay, cool. Make my final decision. Get on a call with them and be like, hey, like, this is your entire structure. How I've done it is I want you to be earning at least 1,300 a month. Out of that, 650 is like fixed. Remaining 650 or whatever number it is variable. This is what your goals will be.
Mm-hmm.
I expect you to hit all of them every month.
So it's performance based, and half of it.
Yes.
Sounds like
Everything is performance based in the agency just to keep people motivated at all times.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
takes us somewhere different. But okay.
Yeah, I don't want to go down the road of intrinsic, but I thought you were talking about setting the salary up front. I thought maybe what you meant was that, after the month is over and what they've done is you come back and say, I know we agreed on 1,000, but I want to give you 1,300 because you've been doing so well. And from a motivation perspective, that's a better way to ensure they maintain intrinsic motivation, more optimal type of motivation, as opposed to a contingency where you're saying, hey, if you do this, then I'll pay you this. Because now the object of their motivation is not necessarily natural, internal, to grow, to learn, to get better, to be better, to have that connection and purpose. But now it's just for that object of the money.
And when you see the real issues happen, and I was going to ask my next question, are any of your employees, I like a better way of saying, do they compete against one another by chance? Like typically you see it on sales teams where they're competing for the best sales numbers or whatever. I don't know if you're big enough to really experience that. No, because typically what happens, you see it in sales, is when they start competing for one another, and if it's contingency, it's contingent based, transactional as we would say, then you start seeing like cutthroat. It's very cutthroat, and it's very, so that's like actually not proven. It's proven not to be sustainable over time.
Yeah. So if possible, if you get to that point, don't pit people against each other.
Yeah.
You want them to work and to work on getting better than they were before, not better than someone else on the team.
To your point, it should be the competition. The competition should be themselves against themselves. Not
I agree. So I love that idea itself. I think once we grow, I might have to face that more. But it's also like,
we know some consultants that can help you.
Point, right? Like
we know some consultants that can help you with that. That's what we do.
Yes, we might need it. But like, it's like, if I'm motivating someone, can I try to motivate them in every single factor possible?
Yeah. Well.
So like, money is just day one, right? They don't know me. I don't know their eagerness to learn. I don't know how hungry they are. I don't know what really motivates me. So I'm already checking the money box out of it.
Right.
So if you want to call it that external motivation, that box is already out of there.
So that's a really good topic. Money as a motivator. We asked that question several times, and it really depends, right? That's the best answer in business school. It depends. So I think what you're saying is, because that's typically what's on the forefront of everyone's mind when they come into a new job. How much am I going to get paid? But I think what you're alluding to is that it is absolutely correct. Is that there's more than just money on the table.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's super important to keep in mind. Yeah.
Like, I've been working for 2 years. My longest employee is 2 years. We've had zero churn.
That's awesome.
Like part-time or full-time.
Congrats, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Congrats.
That's great. Yeah. And really what it comes down to on the money side is the money controlling, right? Is it creating this force that is trying to control a person where they feel controlled by it? Or is it autonomous, right? Do they feel like, yes, it's there and I have it? And what you're saying is taking it off the table, right? Money's not the concern. I'm not doing it for the money anymore. I'm doing it because of, I've got these goals. I want to learn. I'm growing. I'm going towards a purpose or a goal or objective. So that's good. What else?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of sales teams where they pin them against each other, and I know that's kind of part of the culture, like old school. But in sports, it's the same way that we know that that's not the best way to enhance performance in a team. It's actually to be more supportive. So yeah,
it's also like the SDR culture in the tech world and the SaaS world.
Mm-hmm.
They only expect a sales development rep to last for 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, because it's so cutthroat, and it's so they just write them, right? Yeah, I know. I get you on that.
That's
it's
what
tough.
they do in investment banking too, right? Like,
and
they make it super cutthroat.
It's burnout culture.
So
criteria super high.
The science of motivation has really come a long way since the 80s, and it's still trying to break into industries like financial banking and sales.
Really all industries for the most part, but those especially need it.
Because it's not, we know, and we, in the sports world, in performance in sports, we understand that. But even then, you still have coaches that have been coaching that way for 20 years. And so, but we know that there's better ways of doing it, better ways of setting an optimal motivational environment or climate to help people thrive. So, no, it sounds like you've got the right intuition though. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. So should we?
Yeah, I think we're running on time here.
We always like to finish off our podcast with a joke. So I know I didn't tell you about that up front, but if you have any jokes off the top of your head, we would love to hear a joke so that we can finish out with a good laugh.
Sure. Yeah, 100%. So, what's a sad coffee called?
A sad coffee?
Yeah.
I don't think I know this
I don't
one.
know this one. Don't know.
Go. What is it?
A depresso.
A depressor.
Nice. Very
I like
nice.
it.
Very nice.
Very good.
That's very
Yeah. Did I tell you I asked my dad if I could ride up his stair lift for $20? I think he's going to take me up on it.
I like the depresso.
No? All right, depresso. We got to throw out multiple jokes if we can, right? No, that's good. But
What do you call the color blue when it loses weight?
when it loses weight. Oh, man, I don't know. These are new. All right, hit me. What do you got?
Light blue.
What?
That was great. I like that one a lot.
So obvious. Man, that just slaps you right in the face, doesn't it? Very good. Awesome. Well, Namit, I appreciate the jokes. Those are great. Is there any kind of last words or last things you'd like, everybody to know or talk about? Anything you'd like to plug? The floor is yours.
This was great. Like, loved learning about intrinsic motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Loved learning about how as I grow, I would probably need to move away from such a big comp structure or such a big variable salary. That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Hey, the feeling's mutual. I love hearing what your stories are great. I love learning more about cold emails. I've got a new perspective, and honestly, I just want to learn more about it. Now you piqued my interest for sure. So
that question of, do you remember the company that last spammed you?
Brilliant.
That hit me. Yeah, that was good. So, how can people get in touch with you if they'd like to reach out to you, or just wait? They'll get a cold email at some point from you, and then they can reply.
They probably have. I'm worried after some time I would have cold emailed practically every single employee in the United States.
Oh my gosh.
I would imagine I've already cold emailed every single founder. I'm surprised I haven't cold emailed you guys.
Well, you probably have. We just haven't remembered you.
Yeah, exactly.
The best way to reach out to me if you want my services is via the website, and if you want to just have a conversation, it's LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. And what's the website?
I'm super active in responding over there. Yeah.
And what's the website again? The name of the website? Or
It says deliverabilityninja.com.
So thank you so much again for your time.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Congrats! You made it to the end of the episode. Thanks for tuning in. We genuinely hope that you found value in our conversation. If you liked it, please click that like button below and subscribe so that you can stay up to date on our current episodes. And if you didn't like it, you can click the dislike button, but make sure you click it twice. We're eager to hear from you, whether it's your thoughts, questions, topic ideas, or if you're interested in our leadership training and consulting support. Leave us a comment below or reach out to us directly at info@intrinsicfirst.com. We're open to any and all feedback. Thanks again for joining us. We look forward to having you back for more insightful leadership discussion. Until next time,